Is Udemy good for instructors? Can you make decent profit or even very good profit or income by selling courses on Udemy for instructors? Hi, my name is Summer Hobart. If you don't know who I am already, I sell a lot of things online. And one of the things I do, or one of my favorite things and most profitable things that I do, is I sell my information, my knowledge in the form of courses on Udemy. Okay, and I'm going to kind of cover what my perspectives are about Udemy, the pros, the cons, some other tips that you may not have known about, and ultimately answer the question, is Udemy good for instructors? So for those of you who aren't as familiar with Udemy and are kind of interested in getting started, just to briefly recap, Udemy is essentially an online marketplace for inexpensive courses in a whole variety of topics, including coding, marketing, other business related, meditation, exercise, I believe, and a whole host of different topics. And really their claim to fame, Udemy's claim to fame is, at least at the moment, is offering extremely or very competitively priced courses, right? Very inexpensive courses in the $10 to $20 price range. Okay, so very, very inexpensive for students to purchase courses here. And that's probably why a lot of people are wondering, what is Udemy good for, generating income, for generating profit, okay? Which is what we're going to answer here and actually in the next slide. The best way I can kind of describe Udemy is, Amazon is for products as Udemy is for courses. You go to Amazon to buy physical products. You go to Udemy to buy online courses. Okay, and again, in that kind of $10 to $20 price range. So, what are my results from being an instructor on Udemy? Well, I began selling my first course ever on Udemy. I kind of created information products, or I should say information videos here on YouTube and Facebook and other places leading up to this. But I actually created my first course on August 8th, 2019. It is now December 12th, 2019. So that's right around, if I'm doing my math right on the spot, 4 months. And in that period, I made this presentation beforehand in case you didn't know. About 4 months, and within that period, I've averaged about $2,070 per month in profit. That's money that I've deposited into my bank every month, which for me is really great, starting in August. Okay, and I'm going to give you a little bit more detail about my statistics, so don't worry. And if you have any questions as well, be sure to leave those in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I honestly want this to be, this isn't, some kind of, I wanted this to be as helpful as possible, basically. Okay, so made about $2,070 per month in profit. Keeping in mind that November and December are historically Udemy's and many online platforms' busiest months, okay? Because that's when kind of course sales are the highest, with Black Friday deals, New Year's deals, Christmas deals, things like that, okay? So just keep that in mind, it is a little bit higher. However, my wife and I have a goal. Our goal is to generate $3,000 consistently on average per month by March 31st from Udemy alone. It's a pretty ambitious goal, but we are going to be launching actually 3 new courses from December 12th until March 31st or March 30th, the last day of March. So stay tuned for that, but that's our goal, and we believe we're going to be able to achieve that. So that's our profit, pretty great. In terms of payment, because I know a lot of people ask about Udemy's payment terms. So it's not exactly, so I put 60-day payment here. It's not exactly that. So what happens is, so I started selling courses on August 8th, okay? So from August 8th till August 31st, all the money that I made for that duration of August, I'm now paid that not on September 8th, but I'm paid that on October 8th. And it's actually over here. You can see it here in December. For example, from all the income that I generated from December 1st through December 31st, for that amount, Udemy kind of waits until the 31st, then it kind of tabulates and holds that entire amount and will pay you basically 1 month later. So it basically, the best way I can describe this, I know it's a little bit complicated, but Udemy kind of like captures, sales for each month. So for the full month of August, for the full month of September. So if I started August 15th, then it would have done Udemy would have collected from the 15th to the 30th or 31st or whatever, to the end of the month. And then for the next month, it would have been the 1st to the 30th, the first, and so on and so on. So it collects that for, the amount for 1 month, and then it holds on to it for another month because Udemy has a full a 30-day money-back guarantee policy in case any of your students don't like the course. And as you can see, I do have a few refunds here. On average, my refund rate is under 2%. It's actually, I think, less than 1%, but I have to double check that recently. Very, very low return rate for me. And again, the better your course, which I put a lot of effort into my courses, the better your course quality is, obviously the lower your return rate is going to be. So yeah, it's about, you can just expect kind of like a 60-day payment, but again, they kind of, all the month of August, they calculate, okay, that's how much I made in August, and I don't get paid that in September. I'm going to get paid that in October. Okay. Usually like the first day of October is how it would be. So yeah, if you have questions about that, let me know. I know it's a little bit confusing, but I hope that was kind of helpful there. To dive a little bit more deeper into some of my results, which I'm sure you would love to know more, I currently have 7 active courses on Udemy. Again, I want to launch 3, so I want to have a total of 10 by March. That's the plan, that's the goal, and I will achieve that. You can hold me accountable. My average course length is 8 hours. My average instructor rating, which very thankful to everyone who left me an honest review. I really, really appreciate it. 4.6. Average monthly profit per course is $296. So a little less than about $300 per course per month is about how much I make in profit, not revenue, but the money I can actually deposit into my bank. And keep in mind that's gross profit, meaning I can, if I'm running any kind of advertising, let's say Facebook ads, Google ads, Pinterest ads, things like that, that's it, then my total amount that I deposit in my bank is going to be lower because I spent money on advertising. So just keep that in mind. This is gross profit. On average, for an 8-hour course, for me, it takes 32 hours to create. That includes research. I take my competitors' courses. I research their content, their courses. I read through their reviews to see what they're doing well, what they're not doing well. And what my average length of my course should be, things that I should include. This is recording the course, this is writing the copywriting, this is doing the keyword research, all of that stuff, all that really fun stuff. It takes me about 32 hours on average for an 8-hour course. So longer than 8 hours, it takes me longer than 32 hours. Less than 8 hours, it's less than 32 hours on average. And in total, so it takes about 32 hours to get one of these courses up. And then from that point on, it actually takes me right now, I work on average 2 hours, and this isn't exact, but this is a really good, this is very, very close to what I actually work, about 2 hours per week, responding to questions and creating new content for the course. I always like to have, like, even if it's a little short video every once a month or every 2 months, to keep adding and updating the course, or sending out a promotional or an educational email through Udemy, which you can do. You can actually email all of your students. I like to just stay fresh and keep up to date on anything that's happening. So yeah, it takes me about an hour of two hours per week for all of my courses, not per course, for all of them combined, which is pretty great. So once you get everything up and running on Udemy, you can it's actually very, very passive. It's one of the most passive forms of income that I have. And to even take that a notch further, in terms of answering questions and some other tasks, you can delegate those tasks to a VA, to a virtual assistant, and save even more time there and really make it passive. So I have a lot, again, there's a lot of different ways that I generate income online. This is one of my favorite. Another is I sell physical products on Amazon. That's kind of what my channel is about right now. A lot of people come and consume content for that reason, which I absolutely love as well, but it's always good to kind of diversify. So overall, is Udemy good? Yes, I believe Udemy is good for instructors. But let's look at, that's some of the good stuff. Let's look at some of the cons maybe. So some of the pros and cons of Udemy, or courses on Udemy. So pros, free hosting. If you try to launch a course with your own website, you would need to pay for hosting. You need to get a domain. You would need to, if you're using WordPress or Wix or Squarespace or Shopify, well, not really for a course, but for whatever you're using, right? You need to pay for hosting, pay for a website builder, things like that, right? Or hire a developer. So that's free to host. Which is great. Number 2, great SEO. If you create a course, your own website, your own course on your own website, Google is going to look at Udemy and it's going to look at your website and it's going to say Udemy, simplifying it, Udemy is better than your website because it's been around longer. We trust it more. There's more content on it. It's better. Basically, it's better SEO optimized. So for example, if you are to run Google ads to let's say you have the exact same price course, it's set up in a very similar way, the same content, same instructor, all that kind of stuff, and you send traffic to your website versus to Udemy, Udemy will generally have a higher conversion rate because Google trusts Udemy better. So for Google ads, for example, it may actually be better to send traffic to Udemy versus your website. And maybe that's kind of going over your head. I do a lot of marketing, so that's and in case you do, I just want to kind of let you know about that. Great SEO. So and also, by the way, for people going onto Google, typing in keywords, for example, in my case, I sell products on Amazon. People type in how to sell on Amazon, right? Because I'm on Udemy, I actually get a lot of people find me just by typing keywords onto Google, where if I had my own website, they wouldn't. So I hope that makes sense, right? Great SEO. That's one of the most powerful aspects of Udemy. Number 3, an existing audience. An existing audience is generally always better than a completely new audience. Think about it. Udemy already has a group of people. They spend, I don't know if it's billions, but definitely millions and millions of dollars on advertising. And they basically created this community of people who want to buy courses online, right? They're already there. So when you create a course on Udemy, you're kind of tapping into that existing audience. Where if you're to create your own website, you create your website, you put it up, no one's going to come, right? Unless you create the audience, right? Maybe you start creating YouTube videos like this, Facebook posts, blog posts, things like that, and start, linking that content to your website and to your course. Then you can start driving traffic. But why create traffic when you can tap into existing traffic? Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, retargeting. So if you're not familiar, if you've ever gone to a website and then later on Facebook, Instagram, on Google, you see an ad for that exact thing that you were looking for on that website, that's called, well, it's not necessarily all the time, but that's called a retargeting ad, okay? Essentially, you're being retargeted. So you're already targeted. That's what got you to the store. For example, I went to adidas.com, got to have my new Yeezys, right? Or I bought something on adidas.com, or I at least looked at it, and then literally later that day, I'm scrolling on Facebook, and I see a Facebook ad for Adidas. That's a retargeting ad because I'm being retargeted. When people visit your course on Udemy, you don't have to pay to retarget them because Udemy actually is already retargeting them, right? And again, you don't know exactly how much they're spending on retargeting or anything like that, but Udemy pays and handles that and manages that themselves. So really overall, one of the big pros, like I've said before, of Udemy versus creating your own website and your own course, or maybe even going somewhere else, is the passivity. Again, nothing is 100% passive. It's a spectrum, but Udemy may be one of the things that's furthest on the passive spectrum. Probably at the very end would be like real estate in the stock markets, but Udemy is pretty close over there, and Udemy is good for that. So existing audience, automatic retargeting, user friendly, not just for the student, but also for you. It's very easy. So if you're not tech savvy, I would definitely recommend Udemy. If you're not marketing savvy, you're not tech savvy, you want to just travel the world or spend more time with family, you don't want to worry about, you don't care to become a multimillionaire, right? You just want to make a solid, steady, passive income, then Udemy may be a better option for you, okay? And I'll talk about some cons in a second, but very user-friendly. So it's very easy for you to create and to upload content, where on other platforms, you would have to figure out basically how you're going to structure the content, where things go. But Udemy has a lot of articles and instructor help. You can call them, you can email them, and they will help you to set up your course. Also, this is something really cool about Udemy is that there's this thing called thumbnail. So when you saw this video on YouTube, you saw that main image before you clicked play on the video. That's a thumbnail. Okay, it's just kind of the image before you click play. So so on Udemy you'll have a promo video for your course, and that promo video will have a thumbnail, kind of like a YouTube video, and Udemy will actually do that for you for free. They'll make a free thumbnail for you using the Udemy platform. So that's another perk, but they're very, very user friendly for people who aren't tech savvy. And then finally, market research. Udemy is it's not just a great place to sell courses online, but it's also a great place to research for potential courses. So honestly, you can actually just use Udemy. Udemy is really good for figuring out what courses to launch and not to launch. It's kind of a microcosm of online courses overall, meaning it represents the market. So if for example, if a topic is very competitive on Udemy, it's a high likelihood it's very competitive everywhere else online. If it's less competitive on Udemy, there's a higher likelihood it's less competitive everywhere else online. And this will become more and more true as Udemy grows, which I'll talk about in a second as well. So those are some of the pros, a lot of pros. Obviously, I like the pros enough, and the pros outweigh the cons, that I launched courses on Udemy, and I knew this kind of beforehand and have learned some of this afterwards. But it depends on your objectives. Okay, so here's some of the cons. Limited pricing control. So some of my courses, our retail price is $200. However, I only sell the courses for $10 to $20 because that's what Udemy kind of dictates the pricing. So if you set your course for $20 or you set it for $200, it doesn't matter. Udemy is going to sell it at whatever price they believe is best. So that's a kind of a pro and a con of itself. The con is you don't have as much control. So you can make less money on courses that you feel like you should be making more money on. So that could be a reason for you to kind of create courses on your own website and charge a higher price point. Okay. But one of the pros actually within that is that Udemy does a ton of constant research, and their algorithm is very, very advanced for this sort of thing. So based on a lot of different variables about a particular user, Udemy will charge them the price that they feel is most likely to get them to actually buy. So there's a lot of data behind it and reasoning for it, but it just kind of sucks it's unfortunate on the instructor end that we have limited control. So if you want to have a premium course and you don't want it to sell for $10 to $20, you should not be selling on Udemy, because it's gonna be sold for $10 to $20, period. Okay, so that I just want to kind of let you be aware of that. Overall, there are exceptions, but that's the overview. Okay, splitting payments. So every sale that Udemy, when you create a course as a Udemy instructor, Udemy is going to give you a link, and it's a referral link. So basically, this is a link that you can put into your YouTube videos, into blog posts. You can share with your friends on Facebook or whatever else. And every time someone clicks on that link and then buys your course, you get the full amount. Okay. So if they bought it for $11, you get the full, like, it's 97% of the $11. So it's like $10.90 whatever cents. Okay. But you get almost the 100% of the sale. You get 97% of that sale. Okay. But when let's say somebody goes onto Udemy, they type in a course, for example, in my case, they type in Amazon FBA, and then they find my course and buy it, and they buy it for $10, I make $5 and Udemy makes $5. They split the payment. So when you are the source, or you're the reason for the sale, you get 97%. When Udemy is the reason for the sale, then you get half. Okay, so you may be thinking, wow, man, $10 courses, wow, that's so cheap. How much money could I really make? And then kind of a kick in the gut is when they take half of that payment. So again, I don't really care about how much I make per sale or per whatever. I do care about that, but what I ultimately care about is it worth my time? And as you saw before, it absolutely is, but it depends on your objectives. Okay, number 3, limited coupon control. You used to be able to basically, as an instructor, create as many coupons as you want for any amount. So for example, I could create a coupon for $11 and give that to my audience, and every time they clicked it, they would get the course for $11 and I would get the full price sale. This is actually relative. This is only a couple months ago they changed it. Udemy changed the coupon control to where now it's much more limited. Meaning, coupons can only exist for certain periods of time. So if your coupon's for $9.99, that $9.99 coupon that you created can only last for a limited time. The $11 can last for a different limited time, etc. Right? So you have to constantly create new, and you can only have 3 coupons created per month. It used to be, I think it was like unlimited per month, and it was kind of like a lifetime thing. Like, here's $11. Anyone that clicks is going to get it for $11. Not anymore. So they've limited control, which I really wish they didn't. But again, you need to see, do the pros outweigh the cons? Sometimes it sucks when a con increases or there's a new con. But at the end of the day, do the cons outweigh the pros? And in my case, it doesn't. But I hope, and they may change this in the future, because Udemy is always testing. Ultimately testing to improve the experience for the user, and then ultimately also for the instructor, because if an instructor is happy and making money, right, they're going to put more courses on Udemy. So keep in mind that Udemy is keeping the instructor in mind, and they're constantly testing things to ultimately improve our experience and the student's experience. Another one is limited analytics. As you saw before, I did provide some of my analytics, and Udemy does give some analytics. You used to be able to install Google Analytics, which gave a lot more detail, and you could Google retargeting ads and things like that on your own. But for certain laws, actually, because Udemy is an international platform, and because people all around the world are buying your Udemy courses, they have to kind of limit their analytics data to kind of comply with, for example, Europe's laws and other laws as well. At least that's what the rep told me. So it makes sense to me. So limited analytics for some people could care less. They're like, I just want to make money. I really don't care too much. I majored in market research in college. I love data and analytics, so there's some things I wish I could do with it, but not really a huge deal. And they do provide analytics, just it's a little bit more limited. So just keep that in mind. Number 4 or 5, I can't count right here, but reviews. So reviews could be a great thing, but they can also be kind of not so great thing. So with reviews, right? If you have students that come on and just leave you a bunch of 1-star reviews, that can really hurt your sales, and that can kind of happen. Especially if you're starting out, that can kind of happen overnight. Not saying that it will, or that it most likely will, but it is kind of possible, and it's just something that kind of sucks to deal with, because in my case, for example, I have an Amazon, I've mentioned this before, just as an example, I have a course about how to sell products on Amazon. I personally have taken a course for $500. I've also taken another course that was over $2,000, and the content that I give contains significantly more, and in my opinion, like truly significantly better information than the $500 and $2,000 courses that I took. And people are buying it for $10 and leaving a 1-star review and not giving any feedback for why. Not a ton, because my average review rate, like I said, is 4.6. It's a little bit over 4.6. It's like 4.62 for this course specifically. But it's just kind of a pain in the butt sometimes, and that's just the reality. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. It only matters if you get a bunch of 1-star reviews, or if someone is trying to be malicious. It just kind of makes you dependent, right, on getting good reviews. You just have to kind of play that game to be able to kind of use Udemy and to access Udemy. So you just got to keep that in mind. And then lastly is long payments. We already kind of talked about this, but instead of you don't get paid every day, you don't get paid every other week, and you don't even get paid every month. What Udemy does is they take all the money that you made for the month of August, and they pay you that usually in the first day of October. So August 1st, you won't see the money that you made from August 1st until October 1st, right? Or the money you made on August 31st, you won't see that either until October 1st. So that's kind of unfortunate, the long payments. But honestly, once it gets going, you really don't notice it, and when it's consistent and all that kind of stuff. It'd be nicer if it was sooner, but really it doesn't bother me too much. Not a big con. The biggest con would probably be the splitting payments and the limited kind of control. But really, at the end of the day, to really summarize the pros and cons. Pros of Udemy, passive. It's one of the most passive forms of income that I personally have. It's not my main source of income, but it's one of the biggest sources of income, and it'll continue to increase as we launch more courses. The biggest negative is the dependency that instructors have on the Udemy platform, where if you have your own platform, your own website, your own course, you have so much more control over it. It's also a lot more, maybe more work, more hassle, and less passive, but you have more control, where in the other end, it's much more passive, but you're also more dependent on the platform and kind of have to play by their rules. Okay, so that's kind of the trade-off. That's the best way that I can describe it, as in my own experience and in interviewing and speaking with other Udemy instructors. But like I said, I really believe that the pros outweigh the cons, especially as Udemy continues to iterate and test and improve their platform for instructors and students. Okay, so so Udemy is good, but what about other platforms? You probably heard of lynda.com or LinkedIn Learning or Skillshare, and those are some other of the top online course, I guess, platforms, and they're each different in their own way. So I want to be careful with my wording. But here's just this is a screenshot I took from Google Trends. Literally took this today. So we have the search terms Skillshare, Udemy, Lynda, and LinkedIn Learning. Okay, and basically what this graph shows is search interest, not search volume, but search interest in each of the following topics on Google across the entire world for the past 5 years. And I kind of cut it off at the end here, but it's it pretty much follows the same trend here. As you can see, Udemy is still increasing. And guys, it may look like Udemy's kind of peaking. I do not believe Udemy has peaked yet at all. It's insane the number of people friends and family that I talk about and say, oh, I have a course on Udemy. And they're all like, what's Udemy? Did you say English? Is that a word? I think there's huge room for opportunity. I think, instructors that got in a few years ago, 2016, 2017, for example, that's great for them because they got in really, really, really early. But guys, I honestly believe it's still early to launch courses on Udemy. This is my personal perspective. That's why I'm doing it. If I didn't believe that, why would I be launching courses on Udemy? So I believe it's still very early. You can see that Udemy is increasing. I believe that trend's going to continue to happen versus some of these other options where lynda.com is actually starting to decrease a little bit. But that's also because LinkedIn Learning, and this is just a little tip, guys, LinkedIn bought lynda.com. So now Lynda and LinkedIn Learning are the same platform. I'm actually in the process of trying to enroll and become an instructor on the LinkedIn Learning and Lynda platform. So I'll let you know how it goes. But that's my process. So Udemy has the highest search interest. It's obviously trending the most. It's increasing, I believe. It's the greatest opportunity out of all these other online course platforms. However, here's something really interesting that you can do, okay, is you can diversify into these other platforms. So take that content that you create on Udemy, and this is what I've done. I've taken the content that I've created on Udemy and turned around to taken almost probably 90% of that exact same content, and I've put it onto other platforms. Right now, I just sell on Udemy and Skillshare. And like I said, I'm trying to get into LinkedIn Learning and lynda.com, kind of that conglomeration there. And I'm in the process of doing that. But you can literally you've already done the work to create all the content. It's really not that hard to take that content and then to also put it onto these other platforms. Skillshare is different, and I don't make as much on Skillshare as I do on Udemy, so I want to kind of show you that here. But I do want to show you in total, on average, I make around so far since August, in this case in I started launching courses on Skillshare because I just had this idea, like, why don't I just take my course and also make it available on Skillshare? It's a little bit different, and I'll talk more about that in future videos. If you guys want to know more about that or have any questions, comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But I started taking my content and posting it basically on Skillshare, and does not take me that much time. And basically now I'm grossing like another $1,000 a month in profit. So it's a total between Udemy and Skillshare as of right now for the past few months. I'm averaging about $3,000 a month in profit, gross profit. Not advertising, not taxes, things like that, which is still pretty incredible. And one thing that's something else to keep in mind is Udemy is great, but comparatively, and Udemy is still pretty non-competitive in a lot of areas. However, Skillshare is so uncompetitive that I think I might be the #1 best-selling Amazon FBA course on Skillshare because there are only like four options, like very, very few, or I should say 4 instructors teaching Amazon FBA on Skillshare. So very low competitive. And because of that, even though it's a lot smaller than Udemy is, for example, just because it's so much less competitive, I'm still kind of dominating that area. So that's just something to keep in mind, is that Udemy is good, but you can diversify into other platforms. And I'd recommend that you do. And then that way, you can generate a lot more income and profit ultimately. Okay, so those are some of my results. I'll keep you posted on future results. And lastly, I hope this was helpful. I know maybe I took a little bit longer than some of you expected. Maybe it's a little bit shorter than some of you expected. But to answer the question, is Udemy good? The answer is yes. And if you want to learn how to sell courses on Udemy, I have just a little background. I used to sell products, or I still sell products, I should say, on Amazon, and very successful with that. Amazon's significantly more competitive than Udemy is, although there's a lot of similarities. So I took my knowledge and my learning from Amazon and I applied it to Udemy, and that's part of the reason I've been so successful. I've taken other courses on Udemy about how to launch Udemy courses, and honestly, I'm extremely underwhelmed. There is a ton of information that's missing, which is why for one of my new courses that I'm ironically creating is I'm going to be creating a Udemy course on how to create Udemy courses. It's going to be extremely in-depth, step-by-step. I promise you're going to find it immensely valuable if you're interested. So I'm going to have a link in the description below once it's active and available. In the meantime, I'm going to have a link for a wait list. So if you get on the wait list, I'll make sure that everyone on the wait list, once the course goes live, you're going to get an email. And I'm going to send you a code for $9 to get the course for $9.99. And again, at the time, you can see if you still want it or not. It's completely up to you. But I should be getting this here from the creation of this video definitely within the next 2 months is my goal, within the next 60 days from today. Hopefully even sooner than that. But I really want to make sure I'm literally taking all my knowledge in, market research and understanding what topics you should be talking about or not talking about, how to structure them, how to skyrocket reviews, how to market your course for free, ultimately how to maximize sales and how to generate serious, like real passive income. It may not be a ton, right? $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month. It may not be a ton, but man, it's really changed my wife and I's life. And that's just one of our income streams, and it's extremely passive. And it's really incredible. So if you guys want to learn how to do that, be sure to check out the description section of this video. I will have a link for the waitlist, and once the course goes live, I will include a link to the course for you guys if you find that valuable. And I'll also be creating more free content here on YouTube. So like I said, be sure to subscribe. If you found the video helpful, like it, have any questions, comment below. If you need anything at all, don't hesitate to reach out. And I really appreciate you watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.